Federal prosecutors are now asking a judge to consider contempt charges against Pharaoh's strip club owner, Peter Gerace.
It comes after Gerace called several reporters and spoke about his recent trial, where he was convicted of charges including drug and sex trafficking. We get the latest now on this most recent turn in the case from Channel 2's Dave McKinley. Dave?
Prosecutors claim Gerace violated a judge's order issued last week that he must follow policies of the U.S. Marshals Service, which requires permission on several levels for him to do interviews, including with two on your side, whom Gerace called on Saturday. Both before, during, and after his trial, Gerace, who now faces decades in prison, had been reaching out to us through letters from where he's currently housed in the Chautauqua County Jail. His most recent one, which we received on Friday, revealed he wanted to testify at his trial, even though he stood up to say on the advice of his lawyers he would not. He once again railed against witnesses, former dancers at the club, who he said were fired for using drugs, and who gave testimony against him either to avoid being prosecuted themselves or for lighter sentences or for monetary compensation from the government. He also accused lead prosecutor Joe Trippi of falsely insinuating that Gerace either was or purported to be a member of the mafia. After his trial, he began contacting reporters for interviews to get his side out. That's when the government filed a motion for a gag order concerned that Gerace might speak about confidential witnesses, even suggesting he might use the opportunity to exploit the interview to disseminate messages, coded or otherwise, to others for nefarious purposes. Judge Lawrence Villardo, initially reluctant to stifle Gerace's First Amendment right, eventually sided with the prosecutors in ruling that in order to be interviewed, Gerace had to follow U.S. Marshals Service policy and first get the permission of the court, the U.S. Attorney's Office, which prosecuted him, his own lawyers, the Chautauqua County Sheriff, and ultimately the Marshals Service, in whose custody he is technically in. And not only would Gerace need the consent of all five, the media would be responsible for getting permission from them for him to speak to us. The government insists this does not unfairly burden Gerace's First Amendment rights, while noting as well that for the incarcerated, those rights are not absolute. Now, the rules of the Marshals Service for inmate interviews, which are policy, not law, are in place in part for security and operational factors at jails. But that wouldn't seem to be of concern by Gerace doing phone interviews, which is what he did. Whether he violated the court order or the spirit of it, or if he should be sanctioned for calling reporters or writing to them, are questions the judge will now have to weigh. On your side in the newsroom, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
Dave, thanks.